Hey, what's up everybody? So PUBG have just dropped ferries into Erangel. It's on the test servers right now, and today we're going to go in and investigate everything we can about them. The patch notes were pretty basic with what they said about the ferries, but hopefully we can find out more about them today. So when it comes to a matter of where the ferries are, you have two lines. You have the western line and the eastern line. First, we're going to focus on the west line. On the west line, you have a ferry that spawns at Ferry Pier and at the new docks south of the military base. At the start of each round, the ferries will begin their journey. It takes around 3 minutes for the ferry to get from Ferry Pier all the way to Military Island, and for the trip back, it's the same time. You can see I've drawn a black circle in the middle of the path, and that's where the ferries pass each other, and you'll be able to shoot anyone that's on the other ferry. Now looking at Route 2, you have a much shorter route between the new area south of Pachinki and west of Milta, going all the way to Novo. This is a pretty quick route, and you can see once again I've marked a black circle where the ferries go next to each other underneath the bridge. First thing I'm going to show you, if it's the start of a round and you want to land on the ferry, you can do it. I managed to do this first time, and then I walked around in the ferry. I saw there wasn't that much loot, and then there was a few doors around and I wanted to get in, but turns out you can't do that. These doors are iron shut and there's no way to get inside. Hopefully in the future they change that and we'll be able to go inside of the ferry. If you're taking shots from anyone on the mainland, the best place to hide is inside these two containers in the middle of the ferry. Don't swim in front of the ferry. Another way onto the ferry is if you drove a boat next to the ferry, you can vault onto it if you jump out of seat 2 and land on top of the boat. This is kind of weird, it doesn't always work, and you can't do this if the ferry's moving, so pretty pointless. Now, the thing probably everybody's wondering is, can you get a vehicle onto the ferry? And I tried. I really did. And I was very disappointed. You cannot get a vehicle onto the ferry. It's really bugged. For some reason I was able to get a mongoose onto an elephant in Halo 3 all the way in 2007, but in 2020 apparently we don't know how to get a bike onto a ferry. So that kind of sucks, and I hope that gets changed soon. I spawned as many vehicles as I could in and near the ferry, but there's just this invisible hitbox of doom that just kills everything that goes near the ferry. Any vehicle just gets pushed away, and it really sucks. Like I said before, I hope it gets changed soon. Staying on the topic of vehicles and ferries, I tried to block the ferry with 40 boats and that didn't work. There's a few things with the ferry that feels kind of rushed and doesn't really work. Like for example, if I cover the ferry in gas cans, then they don't really set off when I shoot them. Like I shot all this gas on the floor and it just kind of didn't set alight. But when I put a C4 on the ferry, the whole thing set alight. It's just kind of buggy at the moment. Now, if you're on the ferry and you try and C4 the bridge, you sadly can't really throw it that high. I think you might be able to reach it if you jump, but I need to test that out later. However, if we reverse it and you're on the bridge, you can C4 from the bridge to the ferry. You might be thinking, we're on the bridge. Miles, why haven't you jumped onto the ferry? And that's because, yeah, don't jump onto the ferry from the bridge. Now, what we're all thinking, gliders. Can we land a glider on the ferry? We can't get a car onto it, can't get a bike or a boat onto the ferry, but what about a glider? So this invisible hitbox of doom that I talked about earlier, just... yeah, it messes the glider up as well. I try to land the glider multiple times. I try to fly it next to it, but there's just this great big box of air all around the ferry that just messes with everything. Luckily, we can C4 from the glider, as I've done a few times, and it's pretty cool. I think I tested everything I wanted to test. If there's anything I missed, then please comment down below, and then maybe I'll know the answer to it. And yeah, I think that's it for testing the ferry. There's not too much to it. It's pretty simple. It's like the train, just a vehicle. I hope they kind of add maybe a loot ferry. Maybe they add some barges out in the ocean for us to attack while we're on it. Because at the moment, it's just a, bit of transport. And there's no actual, goal to going on it. But what I was wondering is, now that we have a train of Vikendi, a loot truck on Sanic, a ferry on Erangel, what do you guys think is going to be added next? Miramar is obviously something that's been ignored for a long time. I've been thinking they might be doing some helicopters or maybe some blimps on Miramar. You know, you have some loot in some blimps like the loot truck and you shoot it down. I don't know. Comment down below what you think they might add soon. And yeah, have a great rest of your day, everybody. Goodbye.